Welcome back, night owls and truth seekers, to your favorite corner of intrigue and revelation, secrets behind the stars. Tonight the studio lights feel warmer, the whispers louder, and every heartbeat in this room is synchronized with the anticipation of a confession that could turn the tides of a storm. We stand at the threshold of a tale soaked in loyalty, stung by rumor, and carried by love's steady hand. Settle in, fasten your curiosity, and remember. You are part of this story, because you are the ones who refuse to be fooled by the noise. Hit subscribe so you never miss a single chapter of this saga, tap that like if your heart beats for fairness, and ring the bell to keep our nightly watch alive. And for those who want to keep this voice independent and fearless, the join button is right there, waiting for you to become a pillar of this community. In recent weeks, the glittering firmament of Turkish entertainment has been rattled, not by applause, but by a thrum of suspicion that traveled like wildfire. At the center of this blaze, Yağmur Yüksel, adored by audiences for her luminous presence and tireless work ethic, suddenly thrust beneath a rain of shadowy claims. Social media, a court without walls, without procedure, and often without mercy, echoed with whispers about alleged on-set friction, about professional tensions ripped out of context and inflated by the breath of those who prefer scandal to sunlight. As the rumor mill spun with a kind of theatrical frenzy, Yağmur chose a path that few dare to take when the crowd is shouting. She opted for silence. Not surrender, but strategy. Not retreat, but reflection. And in that pause, the headlines sharpened their claws. It was a silence that some mistook for guilt, a stillness interpreted by the impatient as complicity. But fate had already placed a steadfast figure at the edge of the stage, waiting for the cue to step under the lights. When he did, the air shifted. Baris Bactis, whose name alone can steady the pulse of a chaotic room, arrived not with rehearsed platitudes, but with the quiet thunder of conviction. At a recent event, cameras leapt forward, microphones surged like waves, and the pressure to produce a sensational soundbite hung heavy in the heat. Yet Baris, poised, grounded, careful and clear, refused to dance for the frenzy. He did what he has always done best. He spoke from the place where truth and affection meet. He did not dodge. He did not deflect. He did not pretend he barely knew her. He looked straight into the lens that had already written its headline and said, in his own warm cadence, that the caricature being painted of Yağmur did not belong to her. He spoke of years of shared experiences, of long nights and early mornings on set, of the quiet dedication that audiences rarely see but always feel in the final performance. He said her discipline is not performative, it is the bedrock of every role she takes. He said that the chatter swirling online was swollen with exaggeration and built on misunderstandings that thrive in high-pressure halls where the smallest conflict can be framed as a scandal if the camera wants it badly enough. And then came the heartbeat of his defense, the moment that traveled faster than any rumor. Success can be a double-edged crown. Wear it long enough and even a sigh can become a headline, even a schedule change can be spun into rebellion. He reminded us that people are not hashtags, that reputations are not toys, that dignity cannot be traded for clicks. He spoke, without raising his voice, about the cruelty of digital witch hunts, how they distort facts until they are unrecognizable, how they invite strangers to judge a life from a single angle, how they render patience unfashionable and prejudice irresistible. Everyone deserves the chance to respond, he said. Everyone deserves the presumption of humanity. But when a crowd runs, it rarely stops to ask who fell along the way. Those words rang like a bell in a tempest. And because they did not sound like a press release, because they were not gilded with buzzwords, they landed with the weight of sincerity. Within hours, the tempo of chatter began to shift. You could feel it. The audience that had been teetering between gossip and guilt found a foothold in the voice of someone who actually knows her. And here, dear Secrets Behind the Stars family, is where faith in each other matters. In an industry where alliances can melt under the hot lights, this was a declaration, not just of loyalty, but of love, the kind that stands tall when the wind blows ice. Tell us, do you believe the internet has become a storm too severe for artists to weather without shelter? Should Yağmur speak now that she knows she doesn't stand alone? The comments are yours, and we read them like we read the signs of the sky before a downpour. If you believe in the work we do, if you believe in holding space for truth when it's not fashionable, tap join and help us keep this lantern burning. We're told by people close to the couple that relief washed through their circle when Baris raised his voice. Not all battles are fought with shouting, some are won with measured resolve. Rumor has it that although this was the first shield raised in defense, it won't be the last. Yağmur, ever careful, ever conscious of a legacy built with patience, is said to be crafting her own complete response. Guided by her legal team, supported by her public relations advisors, and grounded in her own lived experience, she is preparing to speak. Not to brawl in the marketplace, but to outline the full story, with dates, with context, with the firm edge of clarity. Timing matters when your words will ripple across millions of screens. She knows that once she talks, the record will stand, and she is choosing that moment like an artist chooses the perfect final stroke. Meanwhile, the romance that once glowed softly in the background has slid to the center of the stage. Fans have long watched Baris and Yağmur with the tender curiosity reserved for a pair whose connection looks real even in the cruel glow of cameras. Their work has overlapped, their paths entwined, and behind closed doors, away from lenses, they are said to be each other's compass. Those who know them describe a partnership that thrives on gentle honesty, where ambition does not eclipse affection, and where jealousy is replaced with mutual pride. In a field where bonds can fracture under the stress of competition, this display of unswerving support has become a lesson in how to love under pressure. It is also true that the rumors found oxygen precisely because of how bright her rise has been. Recent projects, swelling fan bases, the kind of visibility that changes a life overnight, these are currencies that pay for success, but also taxes that invite envy. In corridors where whispers move faster than scripts, one small disagreement can swell into an alleged feud if it serves someone's narrative. And when a person of interest chooses silence, that silence becomes the perfect canvas for every projection. That is where this story might have stayed, in the shadows, unfinished. But then came the hand that refused to let it happen. When the press surged forward at the event, when the questions rolled out with the cool steel of accusation, Baris didn't flinch. You could see the steadiness in his gaze, the quiet insistence that a person he loves wouldn't be abandoned to the wolves of conjecture. He described her not as an idea, not as a brand, but as a woman whose commitment is stitched into every scene she's ever given us. He pointed out that the loudest claims failed to hold up in the light, that they were snapshots of normal, solvable workplace friction, inflated by the excitement of scandal chasing. He reminded everyone that film sets and television stages are pressure cookers. Timelines bend, tempers rise, creativity pushes against the edges of comfort. These are not sins, they are the cost of building something beautiful under impossible deadlines. His words did more than defend. They lifted the curtain on a larger conversation. We chant about the glamour, the gowns, the glimmer of premieres, but what about the fatigue behind the polish? What about the contracts that demand a piece of your spirit along with your schedule? In that larger frame, the accusations shrink to their proper size, irritants, not identity. If you live in spotlight long enough, the smallest flicker can be mistaken for a billboard. That doesn't mean you extinguish the flame. It means you protect it, and you help it burn brighter. Now all eyes turn toward the statement that has not yet been spoken. How will Yağmur craft it? Will she go line by line, or will she tell a fuller story that holds the facts and the feelings in equal measure? The tension hums like a violin string. Even in production offices, we hear, attention has shifted from gossip to curiosity. There is a sense that once she speaks, the noise will soften, and the melody will reassert itself. And that, perhaps, is what has unsettled the rumor sellers the most, the knowledge that clarity is coming. But make no mistake, this isn't just about crisis and response. This is about what it means to build a life with someone while the world watches. The gentleness between them, the little looks that say more than an interview can, the unglamorous support, rides to set, quiet dinners after brutal days, hands clasped under a table when the questions turn cold, those are the truths that stand when the crowds move on to the next scandal. This is not a performance, this is a life shared bravely. As the conversation widens, fans and colleagues alike are weighing in. Some are relieved that the spiral has been slowed, Others are stunned at how quickly a career can be threatened by echoes with no source. And the moral is not complicated. Behind the stage name there is a person, behind the famous face a heartbeat, and behind the applause a real set of nerves that can fray under constant scrutiny. To forget that is to forget why we ever loved storytelling in the first place. Here at Secrets Behind the Stars, we promise you this: we will follow every ripple with care, we will bring you her words the moment they are spoken, and we will not trade nuance for speed. If you have a message for Yağmur right now, if you want to send a beam of encouragement into the night, put it in the comments. She will feel it. She always does. And if you stand with those who hold the line when storms roll in, press like, subscribe, share this story with someone who needs to be reminded that balance still exists. If you want to carry this torch with us in a deeper way, tap that join button. Your support makes it possible for us to speak softly and still be heard. As the evening cools, a few things are clear. The narrative has shifted, not because someone shouted louder, but because someone told the truth with tenderness. The uproar has been challenged by a steady voice, and the crowd is listening. And somewhere, maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow, at a kitchen table strewn with notes and memories, Yağmur is preparing to meet the moment on her own terms. She will choose her words the way she chooses a role, with care, with heart, and with a promise to herself not to become what the rumor machine tried to make her. When she steps forward, she won't be alone. A hand is already there, steady and warm. A community. This community waits with her. Until the next chapter, keep your eyes open and your heart steady. We will be here, as always, shining a light where others prefer a shadow. This is Secrets Behind the Stars, signing off for tonight, grateful, watchful, and ready for the truth to take center stage.